So we've been talking about Donald Trump going after Jerome Powell and how he's so pissed at Jerome Powell because of the interest rates, and he wants the interest rates ridiculously low, around 1% right now. They're sitting about between 4.25%, 4.5%, and Donald Trump wants them lower. In part because he wants to win, in part because he wants to make it overall cheaper to borrow money, which would help himself and his rich friends to do business. And he has complained consistently that the high cost of borrowing money is bad for business and it would fuel the economy. However, as I've talked about in numerous videos, the Federal Reserve is looking at long-term, big picture numbers, and they're not worried about day-to-day issues necessarily when they're looking at what, if we raise the interest rate by 1% or drop it by 0.5%, what's it going to do in the next 5 to 10 years? They're looking at long-term projections. Well, Donald Trump, like I said, wants this rate low. And now he has potentially a number that could help. His jobs report. A struggling jobs report is a good indicator that maybe they need to lower the interest rate a little bit to fuel the economy. However, what does Donald Trump do? He goes out and he fires the person responsible for putting together the jobs report number because he didn't like the number. It made him look bad. Well, beyond that, now Jerome Powell has come out and said that even a rate hike might be in order here coming up. They were considering maybe a small decrease in September, and now he's saying, well, maybe we have to go the other way because of inflation, and you want to raise the interest rate as inflation goes up because you're trying to keep inflation around 2% or lower. But you never want it to be negative because then you start going into a period of deflation, which could lead to a depression or a recession. So Jerome Powell is now saying, well, we might have to actually raise the interest rate in part because of the inflation that is caused by Donald Trump and these tariffs. So Donald Trump puts tariffs on, which might cause a rate hike. He fires the person responsible for the jobs numbers because he didn't like the number. He's going to put somebody in there that's going to give up wild numbers, which is going to also hurt his chances for getting a decrease. Donald Trump isn't getting what he wants because the numbers aren't there. He can't just say lower the rate and have it lowered. That is not how this has ever worked. And Donald Trump doesn't understand the big picture economics that the Fed is looking at. So we'll have to see if they do hike the interest rate and raise it in a response to the tariffs or if it stays the same. Ultimately, it's going to be up to the Federal Reserve, not Donald Trump, to make that final decision.